So I'm going to invite Phil up, and he's going to walk you through what he does at his firehouse. So one of his go-to recipes is this firehouse meatloaf, which is really good. So meatloaf, sweet potatoes, and then broccoli and cauliflower. So I'm going to turn it over.
Where's the meat? Is it over here? All right, cool.
No, it's right here.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so first off, again, I'm Phil, and when I do this, like I make food prep, and I make it a point to eat with my crew. We all have different body types and different styles, but I try to make like really good food that guys want to eat that is healthy. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody. I feel like that's an opportunity. I feel like it's an opportunity to bond with my crew. I'm a relatively new captain, and I've worked at stations that we don't eat together, and these gloves are super small, so. Yeah, so I did. Yeah, so food to me is it's like a training opportunity. I feel like when I'm in the kitchen cutting up vegetables with guys and preparing meals, I feel like I get to know them, whether they're a new guy. I work at a busy house, just like Mark. We're about 10 to 12 calls a day. That's busy for where I'm at in Boise on Engine 4, but we're busy. We have a ladder truck and a battalion chief there, and thank God for truckies because they know my recipes now and they can finish while we're running all the medicals. But so I take it as an opportunity to let my guard down and just get to know guys. I'm not planning training. I'm not writing reports. And it's awesome. A meal like this is pretty intensive. We got the meatloaf, and I got some sweet potatoes we make, and then some broccoli that we grill up with cauliflower. And I just kind of make assignments in the kitchen and talk to guys that are like, hey, how big do you want these potatoes cut up? And it's just an opportunity for me to get to know my guys. I feel like the more that I know my crew and the truck and the bat chief, the more I know when those signs of, hey man, this guy's not acting right, or this guy's a little subdued today, or maybe sitting back and not being himself. I want to know those guys. We talk about health and safety and fostering a culture of health and safety. I feel like you have to know your people. And this is just one way that I get to know my guys. So the first thing we'll do is, got a nice little bowl here. So I start out with, and you guys can't see the recipe, but 3 pounds of just a nice lean ground beef. I do a 93%. I try to keep it relatively lean on the beef with fat, but I get the fat mainly from the cream cheese and sausage. So I'll just have them mix. I'll be mixing this up. I usually do the meatloaf myself and have guys just cut up everything for me. So I'll put in the 3-to-1 ratio and just mix that up. Let's see. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get coordinated where everything's at. So next thing on there is a package of cream cheese. So I usually don't use all of this cream cheese. I usually half it or 3/4 it. Oh, thank you, sir. I'll just throw it in there. And while I'm doing this, I'll kind of just say, hey, Lisa, why don't you cut up the potatoes, little 1/2-inch chunks, maybe some jalapenos, and then another guy with the broccoli and cauliflower. Next on the list is 2 eggs. We got those in there. So, oh, thanks, babe. Quick question though, how many of you guys here are just supports like family of firefighters? We're all full. Okay, so 1. How many firefighters or drivers? Cool. And how many officers in the room? Okay, cool. So, do you guys all do company meals? How many of you do company meals together? Great. Okay. How many of you don't? How many of you guys just do your own thing? Okay. The internet, and this is just one recipe. You can You can find thousands of recipes out there to, work around people's lactose intolerances, gluten intolerances. I have a huge lactose intolerance. I love ice cream, so it's kind of fun to pollute the old engine cab when we're rolling sometimes. And I eat that stuff, man. I'm not super lean or anything, but...
I think those are jalapenos.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Keeping me straight here, too. So put all the peppers in, and then last, I do some seasoning salt. Where's that at?
It must be this. I think this is all your seasoning.
All right, great.
And then here's salt.
You guys aren't going to actually eat this. They have some prepared for you, so yeah.
And then, here's pepper. And then your barbecue sauce.
Is that Worcestershire sauce?
Yeah.
Little Worcestershire sauce. You guys all have this recipe. And isn't there a link you guys can, okay, you guys all aware of that? Okay, great. I'd hate for you guys not to get this. This is pretty bomb. Lisa just taught a class with our Recruit Academy, and all the instructor cadre I've worked with they've worked for me, and they all know the recipe by heart at this point in time. And we're not a big department. We're about 278 line guys. And so I work with a lot of new guys. I have 8 people in my station. And I just try to get to know these guys, and this is just one way that I do that. Let's see, so I think that's everything. You guys all got the recipe? I just get in here, I just mix it up, and then I get a big serving pan, sometimes like this. Yep, perfect. And what I do is, how many of y'all got a smoker at your station? Okay, so if you have a smoker, this is awesome on the smoker, but also you can bake it at 400 for 35 to 45 minutes. I don't really have like a specific amount of time. I just put a little probe in there. When it's like 160, 165, I take it out, we go to town. So sometimes I'll put like, and this isn't in the notes, but sometimes I'll mix a little bit of like ketchup and barbecue sauce and just kind of glaze outside and then broil it, and it kind of caramelizes on top. It's pretty tasty, but not the most healthy. So I'll just get in here and mix this stuff up. The cream cheese gets super sticky, and I think we only had 2 pounds of ground beef here. Usually we have 3, like in the notes there, and it'll actually have a different consistency, so it'll be a little bit thicker, but
I feel like the cream cheese is like that.
overwhelming, yeah. So a little bit too much cream cheese. So it's just, you guys know little cubes of cream cheese. I usually do about 3/4 of that. But, and then we'll just take it, and you want me to actually put it on there?
I could do that, it's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
And then the clicker's over there if you want to do that.
oh,
You guys didn't have any questions for him? So one of the things I think is also important is when you think about your family, he doesn't eat a whole lot different, I think, at this station versus at home. In fact, he brings a lot of his recipes home, like, hey, let's try this. It sounds really good. But again, with our family, we've got a 15-year-old that's a volleyball player. She's super active. So you still apply the same idea of portion sizing, what's appropriate for you. Oh, sorry, my mic's not on. So for your family, you take the same idea of portion sizing, what's appropriate for you, and apply it to whoever is in your house. So if you've got kids like us, we've got a 15-year-old, a 10-year-old, and an 8-year-old, and they're all really active. And we have picky eaters, but pick what's in front of you. But whatever you pick, you got to eat. So, any questions for you guys? From you guys, I guess I should say. Oops.
Or do you add meat or like?
Exactly. I think we have the same problem, right? You never know how. Like we have a dude we just hired. He's 6'6", 285. The dude bench presses like 600 pounds. He's a monster, man. So he's gonna eat a little bit. He's like, dude, seriously, like, give me all of that, like, beat it, nerd. And he is a monster. He will eat you out of a house and home. So we say like a half a pound a guy. That's kind of like what we go by. Now, that might be a little bit more than what we recommend. Sometimes, like, I'll skip. If I know I'm making this, I'm probably going to skip lunch. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to get a lot of calories here, and it's really good, as you guys hopefully see here in a little bit. But, yeah, I just kind of like, well, or if I have a big workout, right? Like, I'm going to consume some calories. But we usually say about a half a pound a guy is what we're kind of shooting for. And then I used to work with some dudes where I was the smallest guy on the team. One was an Olympic discus thrower. He was 6'3", 280, and a monster again. And then the other guy was an offensive lineman for Boise State. He was our captain, and like our battalion chief was 6'2", 260. He's here, Tom Lovell. Just a monstrous crew, and I was the smallest guy. And so that half a pound would kind of bump up a little bit, and we just kind of curtail it to our audience. So.
Well, and plus, I mean, if you make it on day one, you got leftovers, because
we
you
do
don't want to leave.
96. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to leave any leftovers for the next day or the next shift,
Yeah.
right?
This is at my station now, the engine does the first day of cooking. So sometimes, like I said, we're super busy. I'll just bring all the ingredients in. And sometimes it's pre-mixed or pre-cut up, and it'll just be on a pan ready to go, because this is the most, as you can see, putting gloves on, it's just messy. But yeah, I cook on day one. The truck cooks on day two. The truck, when I first got at Station 4, they would actually, we had like bagged chili one day for a dinner. So we're changing the culture of our station, and guys, it's kind of like a one-upsmanship, right? Like, hey, I got this really good recipe, and we share it, and we eat together, and yeah, it's just kind of bonding. So the next is the sweet potatoes. When we cut these up, I usually cut them a little bit smaller than this, just so they can, when I bake them, they can caramelize and just kind of get a little more al dente instead of like, So I usually do about a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch, and that's what I would tell a guy. And so, yeah, we just cut them all up, and I usually put them in a bowl, and I would put them in a bowl just to mix the oil and avocado, or jalapenos and everything together. So once we put all these together, and sometimes, like, I am so sensitive to jalapenos. I don't know, the last couple years, like, my guts, it doesn't burn so much coming in as it does the other way. But so
Because you're getting old.
yeah, my wife will make this at home, and we'll just do half and half, and we do it at the station too. Sometimes we'll mix a little bit of jalapenos in on my side, but for whatever reason, like, I'm sensitive to jalapenos. So yeah, and just curtail all this stuff. It's not like this is absolutes. It's not all absolute, so just curtail these recipes to what you guys
There's cinnamon.
have. So a little pepper in there. Usually, like I said, this is in a bowl. A little cinnamon, kind of tasty little surprise in there. Some paprika, some smoked paprika.
Salt and
A
oil.
little
too.
salt. Man, this place is humid. All these spices are sticking in the... You guys, anybody here been to Idaho? It's a super dry place, great. And then just a little bit of oil. I just use the oil, kind of a binding agent for all of the potatoes and all the goodness put in there. And I just mix it up, man. Just get that oil on everything, that good olive oil. Just mix it up.
And you usually bake the meatloaf first and then throw the potatoes in, or you do it all at the same time?
We got two ovens at our station. If we don't smoke it, we'll fire them both up. Kind of, I start the meatloaf first and get that going, just because it is the most the longest to cook. And yeah, so I'll get that going first, whether it's on the smoker or in the oven, and then in the other stove, I'll get get the vegetables and potatoes going.
Tell them about the new recruit that you had come through that's like, I don't
Yeah.
even know how to cook.
Yeah, so I had a new probationary guy. His name's Sean. And Sean, when we first had our little sit-down expectations and everything, Sean was like, hey, Cap, like, I don't know how to teach. So when I teach these classes, do you guys have like a bank of classes that your probationary guys teach through their probationary year? We do. It's a binder they go through, and they have to teach specific classes that curtail it to my district. And he's like, so I'm just going to kind of read it off this sheet to the group. Or he goes, I don't know how to cook. I'm like, okay, cool. So here's what I want you to do. Learn how to use a PowerPoint. Like, you're going to be a future leader of our organization. Like, you need to learn how to teach. That's essential. And you're going to learn how to cook while you're here, man. So, your first challenge is, like, you'll help me tonight. We'll make my meatloaf. We made this. And he loved it. And then next tour, we kind of brainstormed on the computer what he could bring into the station that would feed the guys and that they would like. And I said, hey, man, it'd be a great opportunity to meet a girl. You could ask her if she knows how to cook. She could help you. And that's what he did. He brought in spaghetti and meatballs. And he had spaghetti and, what's that, spaghetti squash? And so he had spaghetti squash for like noodles. And then he put little pieces of mozzarella in these meatballs that he handmade. And it was awesome. And then every tour, that dude was bringing in for 6 weeks, bringing in our meals for the tour. It was fantastic. He just picked a new recipe and brought it in. And like I said, we're busy. So it took us going to the store or me going to the store off my plate. And it was awesome. Just a good opportunity to get to know him.
And you got a date out of it sounds like.
Yeah, you got a date out of it. The girl helped him make some meatballs.
What do you
We'll go
need?
over.
Yep.
All right, so not the most sexy thing, but broccoli and cauliflower. This stuff's good if you cook it right. And again, I just put all this stuff in a bowl and mix it all up. But you just use it all.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And this is pretty big chunks. I usually make them in this size, nice little bite-sized pieces, just so guys can, they one, cook better, and two, it's just kind of hard to eat good-sized chunks like that. So just a little bit smaller than that, and they seem to just caramelize in the cooking process. So a little bit of olive oil all over it, just kind of a binding agent for all the spices that you put on there. And this is simple, man. Just salt, pepper. Here's mixed salt and pepper right now. Just kind of. I love seasoned salt, so I'll put seasoned salt on everything. Not the MSG type, but like the Johnny's or something.
And then that's salt and
it's
pepper.
all salt and pepper. That's
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
So, and then I'll just get in here and mix all this stuff up, spread it out, and just kind of.
Oh,
Oops.
man down.
Save that for later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Free samples. How many of you guys just heard free food and came here? So, and then I'll just bake those. I'll bake the potatoes a little bit before the cauliflower and broccoli, and the cauliflower and broccoli maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and it makes a pretty good meal. It's has all the the portion sizes in it. You can just kind of pick and choose, and it's tasty too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I love about your station, I feel like you've created a really good culture with your crew, but not everybody is in that place, because I know you've worked, and Boise Fire has worked really hard to create that. So what are some barriers that you guys might, having learned this a little bit, that maybe you guys have, that you see popping up if you're trying to kind of infuse this culture of eating a little healthier at your station? I see you.
Yeah, so one of the big problems I have, we got 3 men at the station. I mean, it's what it is where I'm at, and it's picky eaters. Some don't like this, some don't like that. I got one guy eats pizza, chicken, and chocolate.
Yeah.
You're not helping the guy.
Yeah.
So basically he's a toddler, no.
But what I was going to say is, me and my wife, we're empty nesters, so we love meatloaf. So what
Oh,
and
yeah.
we freeze it, so we don't
Oh,
have to
sweet.
do meal prep all the time.
Awesome.
So obviously that would be easy to do at a station, but what about these other side items? Do you think you could make them in bulk and freeze them and use them later?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I would just, like, for my station with 8 guys, like, that's a lot, dude. And I would have to.
Imagine 8 guys. I don't like peppers. I don't like onions. I don't like mushrooms.
You know,
I mean,
yeah, and the guys, like, it's good. It's really good. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I don't like peppers. I don't like spicy food. They eat this, though. They eat this, and the gluten intolerances, like seasoned salt has gluten in it. I didn't know that until my battalion chief's like, you didn't put that in here, did you? Like, well, yeah. So now I know, right? So I'll make a little side for him, and we'll kind of curtail it to the whole crew. And I just,
Sounds like you guys don't eat together though, because you all eat, do your own
one
thing.
I try to do is make sure we eat together.
Okay.
We all eat different.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's
So
essential.
try to make that happen, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if the guy's ordering Pizza Hut, then we just deal it whenever the
Yeah.
guy delivers.
Yeah.
Well, and going back to that thing, like food is very much a social thing. So if it smells good, there's a chance I'm like, hey, what are you eating? Like, hey, I can make this next time. You should try it. It's really good. It's kind of that way to hook people in. Because I think I deal with this a lot too, this notion that if you're eating good, then it's going to taste like garbage. I don't want to eat that rabbit food. Well, it's meatloaf and potatoes and broccoli. So you choose not to eat the broccoli. At least you tried something new today. So you got to pick the wins when you can get them.
And I'll bet everybody in here, like, the minute you say, I'm going to start eating healthier, I'm trying to better myself, guys are like, dude, this guy's going to really cramp our style around the station, right? so I try to find, like, she mentioned my chocolate chip peanut butter cookies, man. Like, yeah, it's not great for you, but, like, I try to show and give guys, like, the snacks and show them, like, yeah, man, I'm not super lean and everything like that, but, like, I eat good food too. I like ice cream. Yeah, it tears my guts apart, but, like, I will eat some ice cream, and I just like to be relatable. I like to have those little small wins so that I can bond with my crew and, yeah, take them out for ice cream. Like, I love doing that. I love being out in public and just being real, you know what I mean?
Other questions you guys might have? Yeah.
Yeah, so it used to be fruits and vegetables used to be considered kind of the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fruit is kind of, do you feel it's more carbs, or do you feel you're getting the same things from fruit as you do from vegetables?
You don't.
Separate
Yeah.
those two?
Yeah, so just in general, fruit is going to be more calorie dense, more carb dense, like you said. And you know, you get different nutrients from different things. As a culture in general, we have a problem with carbs. So getting people to shift to not think it's fruits and vegetables, actually, if we could even just reverse the order there and say vegetables and fruit, because you guys know the number one vegetable that's consumed by Americans? Potato chips. That's considered a vegetable. And the number one fruit is actually apple juice. So we just have kind of this distorted idea of what is a fruit and what is a vegetable. So I call vegetables out because in general, like, just eat more of them. That's what we need to do. And then be more intentional about knowing that fruit is a carb option and that it can serve that role in your diet. So.
Some people in the past, like, there's a local department, they can't go to the store. They can't go to the store on duty. Just certain ways to work around that, like prepare that stuff. Bring that stuff to the station so you don't have that obstacle to overcome, you know. I feel that whatever we have a vegan on B shift at Station 17, tried vegan spaghetti, nasty, dude, completely nasty, but like I try to get to know these guys and eat with them. But
Yeah.
do we have any other questions or things to share that you guys can add to the group?
I think you guys are just hungry for the food.